This game is the first ever to feature Indigenous Canadian perspectives, and it tells the story of what happened during French colonization.
As you know, history has been written by the victors, so this game helps us question what we take for granted. Two Falls let the player steps into Indigenous shoes and rethink the history as we know.
Hi, I'm Yara, and on this episode of Play This, I'm talking to Kim Berthiaume of Unreliable Narrators about their game Two Falls. The game is an interactive narrative that lets you experience life both as an Indigenous person and a European settler as the colonization of North America begins. And your choices have real consequences on how the story unfolds. Set in 17th century Canada, the game follows the journeys of two distinct characters. The first is Jean, a shipwrecked French settler aiming to start a new life in new lands. And the second is Mekan, a young Innu hunter, indigenous to what is now Quebec, trying to figure out who these new visitors to his land are.
So your game is very much like as this first contact is being made between the Europeans and the indigenous peoples before really colonization kicks into overdrive.
Exactly.
You're playing as an indigenous character and the game is in first person, so you're seeing through their eyes basically, and you're like, oh my god, who are these white people? Are they enemies? Are they friends?
For Mekan, it's like you have these strange people coming in, they have their own way of dealing with the nature. They don't respect necessarily the many important aspects of the forest, or do we help them?
Two Falls is rooted in real history. When the French arrived in what is modern-day Canada in the 1530s, they became the first to colonize the region. French missionaries and other European settlers then worked to erase Innu culture by suppressing their religion, weakening their traditional systems of governance, and forcing them to give up their land, language, and way of life. While making Two Falls, Kim and her team worked closely with Indigenous groups to make sure the game was an accurate reflection of Indigenous life and traditions.
We wanted to make a video game about the history of Canada. We said, you know, it's not possible to do that without the people that were here like thousands of years before. And this is where the idea came from. It's like, how do you make a game where there's not a lot written about the history of natives? There actually is one of the very poignant scene where Teon Westasta explains to you how to take care of an animal that died and why it's important for them to treat everything with respect, even if you hunted. And so that has been something we incorporated into the story. We had a lot of people that was both historical savvy, and they knew a lot about the communities to help us guide and make sure everything has been authentic. We don't have a very glorious history in Canada about what we did to Indigenous people, and this is why we have a day of remembrance to just remember all the horror that happened to the Indigenous community. And it's those little steps, with the video games that show like what has been done.